because they're better at this stuff.
Yeah. Well, let's bring someone on who can first off tell us about these teams and then also about how his team has really developed and succeeded at a high level now in the second half of the season, especially. Lane Thomas from the Washington Nationals joining us right now. Lane, great to have you on FT for the first time, man. How you doing? How's the second half going, not just for you, but for the boys?
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for having me. It's cool to get to talk to you guys. Man, it's been good. I think, as everybody knows, we got a bunch of young guys in trades and, some guys that didn't have a ton of experience and just kind of got to get their feet wet in the big leagues. And, man, it's been fun to watch them kind of transition into the players they are now.
So before we get into what's gone really well and some of the other players, teammates of yours that have been improving, you've faced the Braves and the Dodgers this year. What do you think? Like, you heard a little bit about what we were just saying. What makes them special? What stands out? And also, do you know any guys that have gone on to other teams and kind of clicked instantly? I'm not saying necessarily coming from your team, but we're talking about like Lance Lynn, Pierce Johnson, some of these players that have moved teams and like next start, next outing, it's like, holy shit, what is this?
Yeah, for sure. We played, I'm trying to think, I think we played the Braves and the Rays and the Dodgers the first half. And what seemed to stand out to me with those teams is you make a mistake or you give them a chance, in a certain inning with guys on base to bring up Mookie and Freddie. And there's a reason those guys are getting paid what they are, because they make you pay for, letting them have the chance to drive those runs in. So I think that's for me, the biggest thing that stands out between, those top tier teams and other teams is, when you give them a chance and you make a mistake to, let that inning continue, then they're going to make you pay for it.
All right, so we're talking about teams changing teams, and like, boom, it just changes. You got traded to the Cardinals from the Blue Jays, your original team that was drafted you. Am I getting this right? You hit 27 home runs in your first year in the Bushes with the Cardinals?
Yeah, first Double-A season. Yeah, it was a good place to hit. And I think I'd kind of been hurt leading up to that, so I hadn't really played a full season with the Blue Jays. I kind of broke a wrist a couple times and broke a foot, in high A. So I feel like it was just kind of, getting some of that man strength and just putting together some at-bats in a long period of time, and I went to the fall league after that. So I kind of just had played a lot of baseball that full season. So I think that was a big part of it, and just kind of, I was a high school pick and just kind of growing into your body and, getting some of that man strength.
Lane, what everyone talks about famously the Cardinals way. What is the Cardinals way, and can you explain it to us? Because I played for the Cardinals for a hot minute, and I mean,
you didn't get the drift?
I didn't get the memo.
No,
they didn't give it to me.
It's funny you say that. I remember I got traded from the Blue Jays. I drove across the state, in high A, and just picked up with their high A team. And like the first meeting I had was with the farm director and the manager. He happened to be in town for that team, and they literally handed me a book that was like the Cardinal Way. That's literally, they have a book that, and you meet with a guy. I remember my guy was Loop and who else? They have ex-players come around and you meet, like their core prospect guys. Like Bernard Gilkey was one of the guys, Aaron Looper, Ryan Ludwig. They just come around and just kind of give you experiences and kind of talk you through situations, which I think was cool. It kind of gave you a little taste of what was to come and, bounce questions off them. So I think it just kind of skews from the development side of things, not necessarily what the big league team does, because I feel like it's hard to tell, guys that haven't come through the organization kind of what to do because they traded for you or you signed them because you thought they already had that stuff. So I think it was more coming from like the minor league side of things.
Is it like a playbook? Do you have the playbook still?
How come you didn't get it? You were
I still got all of them.
I was in the big leagues, dude. They didn't need the Cardinals way. Is it like a playbook? Like they give you like first and theyird defenses, and they're like, if they're in cover 2, then we run the post corner, like.
No, it was more like life skills, man. It was like, you would go over like financial stuff or, it could be baseball stuff about like, how to handle yourself in times when you're struggling and just kind of life lessons like that. It wasn't always baseball or it wasn't always off the field stuff.
All right, because AJ was talking about cover 2. I know you're a big University of Tennessee fan. What is going to happen on September 16th when they play Florida? Is it going to be a rout?
I know that's a tough place to go in and win. So, I'm hoping they pull it out.
No.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed sitting here waiting was like the Gators jersey. I'm like, come on now.
Look at this meathead.
Meathead. You're right on Meathead. Lane, he can't even fit the damn helmet
Dude,
on
this
his
helmet
head.
is like so small.
AJ's working out
But
too
it's
hard.
autographed by Urban Meyer. Thanks for being a
There
friend.
you go. That's pretty cool.
Lane, first of all, I want to say this, that I did sign with the University of Tennessee. But
Did you?
I did not go there, so I mean there was a little bit of love for Tennessee in
Too
my
good for
Who was
Tennessee.
who was the head coach when you signed there?
Delmonico.
Delmonico.
But
So I originally signed there too, but it was Serrano. I think he kind of took the reins, and then Todd Raleigh was actually. Cal Raleigh's dad was the head coach there when I was like coming through there too.
Really? So this is how old I am.
The guy was Seattle. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is how old I am, Lane. Delmonico was the coach.
Yeah.
Like Todd Helton was there when I went on my official visit with Peyton Manning. Okay, so we were there at the same time, right? And then Todd Helton, R.A. Dickey, these guys. Brian Roberts' dad recruited me in North Carolina. I mean, Rod Delmonico's son, Nicky Delmonico, played for the White Sox.
Yeah.
Nicky comes up to me and goes, "You broke my dad's heart when you didn't sign. You didn't come there and you signed." I'm like, "Dude, that was 35 years ago. Like, let's get over it."
That's
No
wild.
way.
Yeah, he was. I think Nicky was he was a senior when I was a freshman in high school, and that guy was unbelievable out of high school. I was like, I got no shot looking at that guy.
And then look at you now.
I know.
Yep.
Things
Thriving,
change,
baby.
He's coaching in the minor leagues, and Lane Thomas is going deep.
That's right. That's right. Hey, Lane, something that stood out to me, I know your name came up around the trade deadline. I've known Mike Rizzo for years. Super, stand-up dude, great communicator, right? He'll come right downstairs. He's a scouting guy. He'll talk to the players. So one thing I loved was, it's about a week before the trade deadline, he was doing some interviews, and he basically said, Lane Thomas is a big part of this team for years to come. Sure, we're going to listen to players just like any team would. Any team's going to, quote, listen to any players. If someone calls and says, I'll give you half my damn team. But he basically said, we are keeping him. We value him much more than, say, just someone you can plug in and destroy left-handed pitching. He's like, this is an everyday player. So did you hear comments like that from him? And how does that make you feel as a ball player?
Yeah, I think, my full time here, I got traded in 2021. I think him and Davey and his whole coaching staff has just really kind of instilled that confidence in you that, they think they see what you can do and, go do it. And he's never really talked to me about that kind of specific of stuff, right to me. But I just remember something he said in 2021. I had a good couple months to end the season. He was like, you're doing good, but don't get comfortable. And it wasn't like a friendly don't get comfortable. It was just like, we believe in you, but don't get comfortable. And I think that's kind of stuck with me is like, it can change quick. So, your time's limited no matter how good you are. So I think that's something that, kind of stuck with me from that year. So yeah. And the comments were cool to hear. I think it's always nice to hear how valued you are.
Congrats on the baby on the way.
Yeah. November. Yes. It's especially through the season, it sneaks up on you. It's gone by quick, even to her. So yeah, we're excited.
You feel like with the baby coming, do you feel like it's something that you have 2 good years under your belt in the big leagues, and you could approach the Nats and be like, look, I want to be part of this when some of these guys fully understand how to play in the big leagues, because we're building something awesome here. So give me an extension.
I don't think I would ever personally ask that. I definitely love being around these guys, and I think I would love to be a part of, what's going on right now, and seeing CJ and Mackenzie Gore and all these guys that we have that, don't really have a ceiling. I think they could be whatever they want to be. It's pretty cool to see. I mean, CJ transitioned from the first half to the second half and just kind of come to himself, and, watch him play shortstop. He's just, I saw a stat on the board. I was like, he stole 37 of 40 bags. And I'm like, I hit right behind him. I didn't realize how many bags he had stolen. I'm just like, oh, there he goes again, So it's just cool to see that kind of stuff and see the potential. And, hopefully we can add some pieces and actually compete here.
Is it cool for the Nationals to look at the standings knowing that this team is building back up? That's no secret, and same thing. Rizzo has been straightforward about that. He dealt Soto last year, and there's other guys, vets, that have been dealt. But you look right now, this team is above the Mets in the standings, better record than the Cardinals, same record as the Padres, teams that really pushed all their chips in. You guys are just starting to hit your stride, building for seasons ahead. Is it cool to be able to kind of upset a lot of ball clubs given what they were expected to do and be like, we're just as good as you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's cool competing with those teams, but I think that's the biggest thing is, even when we have lost a series or, say we get swept by someone or, we lose 2 or 3, I just feel like we're in every game, and if we're down 2 or 3 runs, it's like, it doesn't feel like we're out of it. I feel like, we have the potential to come back every night, and, we have guys in the bullpen who we bring in and we can shut the door. So I think we have a lot of good things going. I don't know what else we need, but, hopefully they can figure that out and give us a chance to really go compete and keep having fun with these guys.
So Ken Rosenthal's our insider, and he wrote the other day about how in the second half of the season, in addition to the record being very strong for the Nationals, the base running has improved, the defense has improved, if we're looking at metrics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that? Is it visible to you on the field? And there's the reasoning for that. Like Dave Martinez just got his extension done. Can you describe what's being done in the Nats organization that leads to some of those improvements that some people might call small, but they're actually obviously playing out in a big way for you guys?
Yeah, I think it goes back to kind of our coaching staff and how they approach, the game plan for stuff. I know that, I remember coming up with when I first got up, and you're nervous to even steal because it's like if I get thrown out in this situation, it's like they might not play me the next day or whatever goes through a young guy's head. And I feel like when I got here, it's kind of like they instilled a confidence of like, you know what, you have to learn how to do this. We have young guys who can go out and do these things, and if you get thrown out, it doesn't matter. So I feel like that's been a big part of it. And then just understanding when and when not to run and when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive. And, it sounds like such small things, but when you have a whole staff committed to that and explaining to you and teaching you things about, what I do good and what I need to improve on and just understanding all that stuff, I think is what instills the confidence and the preparation to just go out and do it on your own. So I think that's been a big part.
Somebody from your team told me to ask you about the interaction between you and Jeremy Rehack and what his response was. The umpire the other night? Oh,
yeah. I don't know. I thought the first pitch was kind of out of the zone. I was like, man, that's not a strike. And he was like, all right, well, we can look at it. So as I did, I kind of went and looked at it. I was like, man, that's, it wasn't, he asked me, he's like, did you look? I was like, yeah, man, it wasn't even really touching the box. And I probably shouldn't have continued, but I added a little more to the question. I was like, and there was about 6 other ones that weren't touching the box, including, Jansen. I played with Danny Jansen with the Blue Jays. I was like, and he had the worst one, your guy here. And he was kind of like, all right, that's too much information. I didn't need to know all that kind of thing. So it wasn't, I didn't get too upset, but I kind of was a little fired up, especially. And then he kind of got me again later on, so it didn't help. But, it's just how it goes sometimes.
That was it? I feel like there's more to that story, but he's still playing. I get it. There's definitely more to that story than what we just got.
I may have thrown a few more words in there, but that was the summed up version.
Okay.
What about the Dave Martinez? What was the rant that he did earlier this year?
Oh yeah.
Oh, he went down into the
when he laid down.
I don't remember exactly what happened, but I don't know. The picture is posted somewhere in our locker room. It's funny.
Didn't he take out or he printed the photo of
the next?
Yeah.
What was it?
That was
inside
Houston.
the line.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The line.
It was that. I guess there had been some base, or I guess that call what happened to them maybe in the World Series with Trey Turner. It happened a couple times, and then it happened in Houston, and we lost the game because of it. So he printed out the rule and was like, "Here, this is why the rule should be changed, or you have the option to review it, or something like that." I couldn't remember exactly, but yeah, he had it printed off.
That's cool to me. I know obviously there's theatrics involved there, but to me, and I've known Davey for years too. I've been, the office has the candles, I'm sure still. It's like chill vibes. He played though. I like the passion. I also think Davey as a manager has kind of come out of his shell to be able to at times say, no, fuck that. You're wrong on that one. Do you respect that? Do you have conversations with him about that? I know you're not like a grizzled vet, but you're in your upper 20s and on your team, you're older than some of the dudes. So do you get to kind of spend some time with Davey and be like, yo, we respect that, man. That's cool. You're with us.
Yeah, 100%. I think, he does that a lot. He doesn't obviously get thrown out all the time for it, but I think, having a guy that trusts, I don't know, I guess your kind of emotion in the game and when to say something and when not to, and kind of take, have your back in those situations is always good. So he's definitely been good about that. And it's been really good.
Hey, Lane, have you met Stephen Strasburg?
Have I met him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was, I've been around him quite a bit.
Is he at the field?
Well, he's retired.
Well,
Not
but
today,
he
but
wasn't.
I mean, he has been, for the last couple of years. Obviously, I think he made, what did he make? I think he made one start for us last year. So I mean, he's been with us the last 2 years full time, trying to recover.
Well, he doesn't talk to the media much.
No,
so
that's what I was
what's
wondering.
he? No, what's like? How has he been? Like knowing that, I mean, dude was oozing with talent for a long time, and he accomplished a lot. But he's not able to, get back on the field. And we saw the news he's going to officially announce his retirement soon. Being around him, like, do you feel bad? Do you sense that when you have a conversation with him, knowing, what he's got when he has been able to pitch?
Yeah, I mean, we see it as I got to watch him try and come back from this for 2 years, and all the effort he put, and he was here every day rehabbing and he was in our fantasy football, so I think a lot of that stuff and being around the team helps, but I think it just comes down to like, quality of life stuff too. It's like he wants to be able to hang out with his kids and pick them up and be comfortable with that. So, I don't know the details of it. They don't, the training staff and stuff doesn't really let us in on all that. I know that he was here, recovering and trying to come back. And I know that, I know it's hard to do that. It's to basically come out and say that you're not playing anymore, with whatever's left. But yeah, it's a lot of that stuff I don't know, but I know that he was here doing what he could to come back. And, it obviously had to be pretty serious for him and to come out and say it.
No, that's awesome. That's what I wanted to know. Like,
Yeah.
was he around? Was he there? Because there's all these stories that he's never around the team. And he's in San Diego, and the team's in Washington.
It's more of a mystery because what happens
he doesn't talk,
is, and
too.
I same
But
thing.
that's
Like
awesome
I've
to hear
covered the
that.
Nats. He doesn't, he doesn't like to speak publicly that much. He's shy, and but then teammates are like, oh, I hung out with him, so that's
great.
why.
That's what I wanted to know.
It's cool to get some insight. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And listen, I guarantee I know Steven a little bit. I've done some stuff with him before. He's a really quiet, good dude. It's great to hear that he was around and trying, because I think there's this narrative out there that he was just like, oh, I'm shutting it down. Screw it. I'm getting my money. So to hear Lane say he was there, he was busting his ass to get back.
Yep.
Listen, sometimes you just can't come back from stuff. And as human beings, you want to hear that they tried, and he tried, and good for you, Stephen Strasburg. You won the Nats a World Series. You set your family up for life, and go enjoy it.
Yep. Exactly.
100%.
I'm with you.
He's
Lane,
definitely on the quieter side, but once you're around him, he kind of opens up, and he's a good teammate.
Dude's got some stories no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was like Mr. Prospect, like in that next era, and then he comes up and lives up to it when he's been on the field.
Absolutely. Lane, before you go, say it with me. Go Gators.
Can't do it. That can't
Hell no.
come on.
Tell him, be like, shut up, AJ. He won't. He's too nice.
He is too nice.
Lane, dude.
That's not the Cardinals way.
Well, doesn't matter anymore.
Actually, it was when I played
Chapter
there.
1.
Nationals,
Actually, it was when I played there.
What? Well, Nationals
Shut up,
way is
AJ.
like we were just saying with Davey, like be yourself.
I love
Have a
Davey.
good
He's
time.
great. He's a
I do
great
too.
interview.
I tell him we said hey, and Lane, it was awesome to talk to you on here for the first time, man. Keep crushing it.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Appreciate it. See you, man.
See you, bro.
Lane Thomas of the Washington Nationals. Good stuff.